welcome to the NCAA Women's Championship, presented by Capital One. In prime time on a Friday night, what a time to be alive. Back on the farm, and the Cardinal well represented here inside of Maples Pavilion. The ultimate underdogs in the house. It is Sacred Heart, the NEC champions, fresh off their first ever NCAA tournament win against the #1 seed Stanford Cardinals. Well, it's that time of year. Everybody's dancing, and why not? And thank you very much as well. The Cardinal are one of the most athletic teams in America this year. Getting the job done in pregame. Bracket looks like this. Winner of this game will advance to face the winner of the nightcap. Ole Miss and Gonzaga, the 8 versus the 9. Louisville and Texas headline the bottom part of Seattle Regional 4. Well, the lights are out, but the energy is high in Maples. Alongside the Big South Hall of Famer Brooke Weisbrod, and I am Roy Philpott. Great energy, and away we go for the first round of the dance.
Yeah, this is big time. Stanford is the #1 seed. They get to set the tone for the rest of this tournament, hosting here on their floor. I know they're excited to redeem themselves after the Pac-12 loss in the championship.
No question about it. We're going to start first, though, with the visitors from Sacred Heart. And the NEC Player of the Year, the Freshman of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year. She's only 5'3", but boy, she has been impressive. Ny'Sera Pryor already off and running here in Stanford.
You talking about Little Mama?
Little Mama.
Little Mama, that's what Baltimore calls her, so we'll refer to her tonight as well. Little Mama can do it all. She does not rush the game. Let the game come to her. She scores, she rebounds, she dishes it out, and she's even got a little spice left over for the post game. What are your thoughts on playing the Stanford Cardinal?
Hey, we about to shock the world.
You heard it first. Pryor, gonna shock the world, right?
Yeah.
All right. Good luck. Thank you.
We will see if the Pioneers are up to the challenge, as we are just about set ready to go for tip-off. We do have some breaking news to tell you about. Stanford will be without the services of junior forward Cameron Brink. She is out for this game to a non-COVID illness, listed as day-to-day. In your estimation, what does that mean for tonight?
Well, I think it means Haley Jones is going to really step up even more. You know, great to have another All-American on the team to rely on. This is a night for Fran Believy to step up and be big. It's a night for freshman Lauren Betts to step up and be big. Stanford is a #1 seed for a reason. They run deep and they go very big. And that is going to be a big task for Sacred Heart.
First ever meeting. Stanford without one of its All-American players today. We will see if that makes a difference in the outcome. Sierra Brannon set to jump things up for Sacred Heart. Kiki Ariathan for Stanford. The opening tap controlled by the Cardinal, dressed in the home white uniform. Sacred Heart in the road reds. Underway at Maples. Haley Jones stopping by. Well, tremendous size differential, but Amelia Wood controls the first board. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Capital One. The Pioneers also missing one of their key performers, Sajada Bonner, second leading scorer, out. She twisted her ankle against Southern. So more will be needed from Olivia Tucker, and as you like to call her, Little Mama.
I think a lot of people like to call her Little Mama. She's got a huge game. Double team on Haley Jones, and Stanford quickly passing out of it. Maybe a little early nerves. Work through those.
Look at the starting lineup for Stanford, brought to you by Capital One. No Cameron Brink. And the All-American Haley Jones. Feels like Stanford has a little bit more to prove. The loss to UCLA in the Pac-12 semis. It's her second loss to the Bruins in the last month. We'll see if that motivates this team a little more, but changes anything in postseason play.
I think it's about getting back to consistency for Stanford. They thrive on that with the routine and getting back to understand what they're good at. Mara Vanderveer, as good as anybody. The GOAT, perhaps, out there.
All-time winningest coach, 5-time National Coach of the Year, 3-time National Champion off the turnover. Here comes Lopolo. Very often, no. And Sacred Heart has it. Pryor Weaving, spinning, and connection.
That's where she's the most dangerous. If Sacred Heart can get the ball to Pryor, let her get into some transition game, that's where Sacred Heart can be at their best. And how about that? You start off with a 2-0 lead against the #1 seed. Not too bad.
We've only seen one upset in the 16 versus the one. It was Stanford back in 1998 here at home. A foul call against the Pioneers. Jessica Minetti, year number 10. It's been a dream season. Overcome a lot. They got off to a 1-8 start. It wasn't the season they expected to begin with. It has finished in resounding fashion.
It's a coach who understands the emotions of players. Levy gets a tough inbound play and finishes a shot there. She's great at handling the temperament of her players. Lil Mama was not having a good first quarter the other night against Southern. Minetti pulls her aside and says, "You got this. I love you. Like, chill out. You're going to be okay." And boy, did she respond. A near triple-double for Pryor.
As Sacred Heart trailed in that game right out of the gate 14-4. And then really came roaring back. Pryor left open and connects.
So you can't give her that little mid-range. They love to create off the two-man game. It's a little high ball screen. She comes right off and has that rhythm catch dribble.
Back inside, Iriafen. And Haley Jones well short. Back to the Pioneers. Silky smooth.
Now Pryor, we mentioned, just never in a hurry, right? This is a freshman. Look at the composure. You just set up. Let me take what the defense gives me. You going to stay under the screen? I'll make you pay. You got to force Pryor to try to hit threes. Face guard her and force her as far away from the basket as you can.
The three-point shot may be the only weakness in her game as a freshman. How about the bounce? There it is for Amelia Wood.
The Wood sisters, you'll get to know them in this game. Amelia, great talent, her sister Kelsey as well. Together, where they give you 15 rebounds a game, which, as you know, in a game like this, you got to hit every one you can snag.
How do you overcome the size differential? Iriafen, 6-4.
Well, you have to do the fundamentals, right? You have to box out, close out, and push and do whatever you can. And honestly, if I'm Sacred Heart, I'm trying to sell over the back calls.
Mention the win against Southern, the first ever NCAA tournament victory for Sacred Heart. Their last appearance in 2012. It was the first win all time for the NEC in the dance, and a foul call. It'll stay with the Pioneers. That was Sierra Johnson that hit the deck. So Kiki picks up her first personal. First team foul as well for the Cardinal. Got Ole Miss Gonzaga later tonight, which should be a ton of fun. That may be the longest ponytail we've ever seen.
No doubt.
Brandon
Came through with it today. I like it. Game day, you got to bring something special. You know, Coach Minetti told us, said, "You guys going to go to the zip-ups? Like, what's the style?" And she looked at us and said, "No way, no way."
Sierra celebrated her birthday yesterday. This team has enjoyed their time in Cali. Pryor, the dish to Kelsey Wood. Too strong. "16 versus the 1. Haven't seen a ton of upsets so far today. I guess technically Georgia over Florida State, the 10 over the 7.
No, not a true upset. Come on now.
You on that. Lauren Betts gets her first jumping in. Former #1 player in the country.
What I love about watching Betts play is I had a glimpse of her a couple times in March in the McDonald's All-American game.
He goes down for Wood.
Come on, Amelia. The clap. I like the way Sacred Heart has started this game. Can you imagine, you're a 16 seed, you had the first 4 games, you got nothing to lose. Zero pressure.
Great hustle.
To finish my point about Betts, her footwork, her fitness, you can already see a huge improvement. Coach Minetti's got to feel good about the way her young ladies have started this game.
We didn't think they would be intimidated tonight based off how we've got to know this program the last couple of days.
And I liked how yesterday it was a stretch session. They did not take their shoot around today. Her mindset was, we know what we got to do. Let's preserve our energy.
And a jump. In and out. Kelsey Wood the rebound.
See, the way that she was able to hold off Betts and box her out, that's the way that Sacred Heart can stay in this game. You've got to use every amount of strength you have against size.
Livia Tucker. That's the rebound. Here comes Stanford. Lapolo, foul. That'll go against Sierra Johnson.
Let's go back to this three. Amelia Wood, Sacred Heart's so good at just taking exactly what the defense gives them. Little Mama, it's a little assist. Pryor just going to find the open player, take the shot. This team likes to thrive on taking the best shot, not just that one-on-one ball that sometimes you see. Pryor probably could average 25 a game if she wanted to. She's better when she's got 11 assists.
Polo 90% at the line. She said this week, we have something to prove coming off the Pac-12 tournament. It was interesting, too, because Tara Vanderveer indicated multiple times she wanted to give her team some time off after a grueling regular season schedule. They were on TV every Monday and Thursday.
Yeah.
And then the tough loss to UCLA, she said, we just needed a break at that point.
Yeah, your legs, your mentality, I mean, the class schedule that these ladies carry. Excuse me, crossover.
And foul, free throws coming for Pryor.
Okay, that wasn't on bets. I was about to say.
Free throws coming when we come back. 9-7. The 16 over the 1. We are just underway in Stanford. Quick stroll down memory lane. The 3 national championships secured by the Cardinal and head coach Tara Vanderveer. Now in year number 37. Titletown, USA. And you think about it, we mentioned earlier, in search of their 10th Final Four appearance this season, the last 15 years. Dominance out west. It's right here.
Yeah, this is a legacy program, and you take a look at what Tara Vanderveer has done. It only went 1,185 games, closing in on Coach K's record of 1,202. You brought this up before the game. You said by next season, she will be at that top spot.
Gino's right
Incredible.
there behind her. Sensational. National championships. Pryor at the line. Sacred Heart with the advantage early. It's now 10-7. Nasira Pryor, NEC Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. She has started every game. It was game number 5. She became a team captain for the first time. 67%, and she drained 2. Anything surprising you so far?
I just love Sacred Heart confidence. I think the lead is surprising me, yes. I like the way and how loose they're playing. Stanford, better ball movement, quicker. I think that's what Coach Vanderveer was hitting at that timeout. Because before they were just playing too tentative. And you got to set the tone like you're the number 1 seed. Take the floor, be aggressive. They have to prove the floor worthy.
After the 3-by jump, that's a good sign for Stanford fans. She was shut out against UCLA in the semis, the Pac-12 tournament. That 3, one of the best three-point shooters in America. A very good sign. Haley Jones under control. The Cardinals grab their first lead of the night.
Now, she's so good off that bounce, creative. I mean, how many tough finishes have you seen Haley Jones hit?
She just glides.
Oh.
Makes it look so easy.
Right? It's the bounce, it's the flow. It's so natural.
Prior shot rejected and now ripped away by Betts. Mid-range is there.
Yeah,
Navarre connects.
You feel the rhythm now, right? This is the symphony, the orchestra, time to come together. You heard Drea Carter today talk about Haley Jones being the straw that stirs the drink. I'd like to think maybe she's the composer of the symphony this year. I love that analogy that she used last year.
Jackson from downtown and a big 3 for Sacred Heart. We're tied.
They're not afraid to pull the long ball as well.
First time we've seen 5 in red play, and now the 3 Sacred Heart games that we've called in the last week. So without Bonner, more PT for the reserves for head coach Jess Minetti. Entertaining start on the farm. Navarre's got to go. Bottled up, lost it.
Solid defense from Sacred Heart. No handsy, just moving the feet, moving the chest, staying in the right position.
Pioneers located in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Backdoor was there.
Not open.
I thought it was there. Look, I would have just thrown it.
Well, she didn't throw it. That's all good. She was open for a split second for sure. Your competitive nature in postseason plays taking over.
You have no idea how bad I want to round out on this floor.
In and out for Pryor, rare miss. Jones controls. All-American in transit behind the back. Oh! And a chance for 3.
Come on!
something to it.
You know what? You're not going to be on the slam cover for nothing. Hair done, nails done, game day, everything did. Haley Jones coming through. The rebound, coast to coast, head up. The straw that stirs the drink, yeah, I like that. Little silly straw action at the very end. The react is the best, right? Eyes up, the finish. Finally.
Well, you mentioned the magazine cover. We showed it to her pregame. She's seen it. You'll see it in a few minutes, but she's on it along with Cameron Brink.
She came over, gave it a quick glance, and was like, that's cute. I got to go back to working out.
Pioneers get it back, trailing by 2, approaching 2 to go in the first quarter. Wood thought about it. That's in her range. Sacred Heart defeated Fairleigh Dickinson on the road to the NEC Championship. Hackensack, New Jersey on Sunday. Jackson's got 5, matching her jersey number off the bench.
Good move, played off 2 feet. Ball fake, bring it back to the other side. Take the right shot.
Boy, a hard collision inside. Very often hit the deck. Appears to be okay.
Wow.
Jones!
Stop it!
The reverse. Special.
I mean, it almost makes you speechless. You just want to watch it and then watch it like slow-mo, 18 different angles.
There's a steal. And Minopu came away with it. Cardinal in transition. They'll back it out. Jones not a huge threat from distance this season. She'd love to change that in postseason play.
Oh, good goal.
Ariapan.
That's what you're going to get with Ariapan. You had an early shuffling of the feet. Okay, get it out your system. I get that. That's the upside of when you get the ball to her at the elbow.
Crossover and a foul call. Owusu-Mensah heads to the line. Well, for the 3rd straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Any big-time hot takes from what we've seen so far today around the country?
Well, I mean, I had one upset that I thought was going to happen. It was a small one, Marquette in South Florida, but
Little OT?
no, yeah, it's been, I'd say it's been pretty by the book today. I was interested to see how Notre Dame would start. They managed pretty well out there. And
without Olivia Miles.
Without Olivia Miles, of course. And Dara Mabry, they lost earlier to the ACL injury. But I remember a guy, kind of smart a few years ago, said to Coach McGraw, you've got more ACL tears than you have losses. And who ended up as the national champions but the 4 ACL tear teams?
That's right. They did. Cardinals starting to heat up. Even from downtown, jumping 2 for 2 from 3-point range.
Somebody was ready to get back out here on the floor.
Boy, the shot is smooth when she is in rhythm.
The quick release, the rotation of the ball.
And that last 3 ties a single season record, the most in a year for a Stanford player, now with 96. Largest lead for the Cardinal. Pryor probing. Strobel off the mark. Shot clock is on. 10 minutes in, a 5-point lead for the #1 seed Stanford.
Well, Haley Jones is directing this offense. I love how vocal she is out there. She's also got some skills to back it up. Ready for highlights all day today. What a pass, what a catch. English on the back. That's a good horse shot. Then Ariapan. Boom, jab. Let me take you under. The power dribble. Great minute.
You don't want to miss. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Well, this tournament is going to be full of upsets. You can rely on it all year. When you talk about the teams that can make an impact in the tournament, you look at a team like Cleveland State with 30 wins. Destiny Leo at 17 points a game will have to face Maddie Seegers at Villanova, the top scorer in the country. I have Georgia going pretty far. I think they can make it past Florida State and even upset Duke. It's going to be an interesting ride for the Bulldogs. UNLV, just, forget that little line right there. And Middle
The fact that
Tennessee.
you kept that graphic intact from 2 nights ago.
Yeah, because it's okay to be wrong. You know, sometimes you think you got it, and then other times you don't. Like last year, I got all 4 teams right in the Final Four in the women's bracket, and there's just no way this year. I don't know. I already feel like it's just going to be blown up. But I do have South Carolina winning. Who do you got?
I think most of the country does. I do as well. That means they'll go back-to-back. That means they will be undefeated. And at this point, they really have only been challenged by the team that's playing here in Stanford after this game in Ole Miss. They took it to overtime. Coach Hill, we see you. We know that energy. We understand it. It'll be on display later tonight. But they're the favorites for a reason. They've got the talent. They've got Boston. They've got Cook, the experience, and the coaching.
Then you look at the bench. I mean, Ami here, who's just a fantastic facilitator. I think she had 10 assists in the championship of the SEC.
In and out for Jackson. Pryor, the rebound. It's blocked by Betts. 6'7" versus 5'3" and a wry grin by Pryor.
How could you not? How could you not? But you know what? The quote-unquote 5'3".
She's in there.
Look at her hops, dude. She gets up. And Lauren Betts has to basically just raise her arm. There's no jumping necessary for Betts.
Back in the zone. Betts double team. Lost it. Good defense by Stromel. Well, that's one way to do it. Clear size advantage for Stanford. 1 versus the 16. Usu-Mensah baseline. 16-7 run for Stanford since it was 11-7 favor of Sacred Heart. The spin and the foul.
Well, Haley Jones had a little teardrop jump shot and added the spin move to it. Pryor's going to get the first foul on her unless you have, I believe it's her second.
It's her second. So decision time for Jess Minetti.
Yeah.
How long do you keep her in as you see Haley Jones? I mean, a laundry list, the national champion, first team All-American. She has done it all on the farm here.
I love the fact that you have a great size and point guard vision. The maturity of what she's able to bring to the game. And I also love the fact that she has got a bomb podcast out there on the Players Tribune. She is killing it.
Pryor stays on the floor.
Yeah, I think you've got to leave her on the floor. In a game like this, you got nothing to lose. She's a smart enough player, even as a freshman, to understand what she can and can't go for.
Cardinal dominant in the paint, outscoring Sacred Heart 12-2. 2 minutes into our second quarter. Winner of this game gets winner of Ole Miss and Gonzaga. Lopolo. Jump open for a minute, this time off the mark.
You see how she catches that ball in rhythm and then lands on 2 feet as Lil Mama gets a little taste of what Haley Jones can bring. Was that a foul? Huh? Yeah, let's take another look at this. I don't know. In a little in and out. I'm gonna say no. Where's the foul? It wasn't even a bump of the body.
I agree.
Well, that's a first.
One more for Pryor. Ball don't lie.
Yeah, that's instant karma, isn't it?
Tara Vanderveer. She watched Sacred Heart defeat Southern and then went over to talk to the team after they proved victorious that night in the first 4. Had a great conversation with Jess Minetti and the players, but I thought a great show of respect. Lopolo the spin.
Great read by Brandon. Right there to defend, but not foul. Oh! Shook her with the move.
Jackson, the crossover. And the finish. 24-20.
This is where I think Stanford could really use Cameron Brink in the game right now, right? Because you have the big going inside, but Cameron Brink, she can dribble that ball, she can hit from outside, got a lot of length to her, so she would be giving Sacred Heart a ton of problems.
Lopolo wide open. Last touch by the Cardinal. How about Jackson off the bench? Hasn't played the last 2 games. She scored 7 tonight.
Yeah, you got to have heroes. They got to step up. You know about Pryor. You know that she's going to have the ball most of the time. You got to have other people step up and be big, and that's exactly what Jackson does. I mean, I think anyone in a Sacred Heart uniform is comfortable taking the shot.
2-possession game, 7 minutes to go in the first half.
You can't say a lot of teams have any player on the floor is willing to take the shot. Definitely the case of Sacred Heart. Everybody just right.
Tucker's yet to score from 15. And tapped out. It'll stay with the Pioneers. Olivia Tucker, big-time offensive weapon for the Sacred Heart team. And for 30 in red's got to find a way to get open, and particularly from distance.
And the coaching staff at Stanford were big to point that out. They said you cannot leave 30 open for a 3. She's going to hit it quick, knowing that there's a lot of drive, suck in the defense, and then she relocates without the basketball. She moves really well into that pocket for Pryor to hit. That's good position. You got to get her the ball with that mismatch. Still there, and that's going to be a foul. Yep. You got to get her the ball earlier. She had awesome position. You know, maybe kick it over here to the wing and let Tucker into the ball inside. That's a lost opportunity there. Take another look at it. And watch Brandon. Yep, she extends that forearm. Lopolo sells it as a smaller player. Great job.
First personal on Brandon. Jones wide open. 9 points on the board for Haley Jones. Lead back to 6.
She had a shot. I would love to have seen her take that.
Lopolo, Jones, 11 on the board for 30 in white, and a beautiful dime drop by Lopolo. (28-20), and Stanford slowly starting to seize control. And a foul call. That'll go against Brandon.
Stanford, when they are flowing, moving well, transition, this is when they're at their best. The way that they're able to pass, and quickly Lopolo with that bullet pass inside. And here, get the defense all turned around when you're not covering the middle of the floor. Johnson should have been in there. You saw how fast Lopolo got it by.
Levy back on the floor, jump from distance, back iron, Jones tracks it down, and a fresh 20.
Well, you can just feel, jump, when she's about to shoot that ball. Good pass inside. Ooh.
Levy gets it back off the glass.
He says, my bad, I messed her up your assist. I got you later, though. Maybe she can throw her an alley-oop later on in the game, considering she dunked pregame and, oh yeah, won the Powerade Slam Dunk Contest when she was in high school.
Deep 3, no. She was the 3rd woman ever to dunk in an NCAA tournament game. Who knows what we'll see tonight for number 5 in white. Jones, she's got 13.
She just put that ball inside out on the right hand.
8-0 run for the number 1 seed, Stanford. And a timeout called by Jess Minetti.
Haley Jones can be a one-woman wrecking crew. Watch this degree of difficulty. A little heavy. She's got her left hand. That's all right, though. She's going to make it with her right. A little English off the bounce. In the finish. That's so tough.
Coming up at halftime, Degree in the studio. We were all chalk on the first day, and then here comes the eraser highlights from Mississippi State and Creighton on the way. Got to give a little credit to Sacred Heart. They are hanging in there with the number 1 seed.
They certainly are, and they were able to stay attached until the last about 1.5 to 2 minutes because they were turning the ball over.
Yeah, and those turnovers leading to some run-out opportunities. Haley Jones, when she gets downhill, when she gets a full head of steam, she is so hard to stop because of her handles and her length.
With a ponytail.
I was going to say because of her hair. Slow her down.
Yeah.
Slow her down. It's all going. We won't slow you guys down. We'll see you at the half, but for now we get it back out to Roy at Maples.
Nell, thank you very much. Haley Jones, you guys talking about her, 13 points. She has played every minute of this game against the 16 seed so far. Cardinal in the midst of an 8-0 run to create this current separation break.
I like how Haley Jones has managed this game. knowing Cameron Brink's not available, it's important for her to get off to a postseason great start. How about Fran Believy? She gets so many big boards amongst 2 and 3 defenders at a time.
Jackson has 7. Jackson shoots that one out of bounds.
And she knew right away that wasn't the right time for that shot. Not a bad shot, but like work it a little bit. You got 12 points to overcome. Make the defense get into it, get some rhythm, space them out. Look, Coach Minetti, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Always reminding the team, we've got this. Don't panic.
4:21 to go in our first half. No Cameron Brink tonight for the #1 seed Cardinal, listed as day-to-day with a non-COVID related illness. Well, the big story, Haley Jones, she can do no wrong this evening, Brooke.
Yeah, she's really managing, again, the game well and getting everybody involved in the offense. She's such a threat, a big point guard, working on her range, but this is what she does well, I think, more than anything, is move without the ball. I mean, that is an impossible shot to block. Like, you're not going to get that. Just makes herself available, right? Catch it, quick finish, makes it easy.
What is her game like at the next level when she gets to the W?
I think, first of all, she's going to have to work on her outside shot, right? She knows that that's a criticism. And you watch teams even defensively back off almost in like a Russell Westbrook kind of way. Like, they really back off. So, yeah, it's just a mental thing. All you got to do is get out here. You got to shoot, but you have to let yourself go. Give yourself some grace, right? In today's world, a lot of players, especially female players, put so much pressure on themselves. And at a high-level university like this, where academics are so important, it's sometimes you fight perfection. And so you're obviously thinking out there, like, I got to hit shots. I got to hit threes. What is that going to do for my projection of my career? Haley, like, you are good. We know that that's going to come with any amount of time. So I think she's got a great future ahead of her in the league. And as that outside shots develops, it's going to be even more dangerous.
3-time AP All-American, over 4 dimes per game this year. Former #1 player in the country. The resume speaks volumes. The national championship 2 years ago. Trying to go back to the Final Four. The Stanford Cardinal in 2023. Well, this really is one of the great sports days on the calendar each and every year. And with good reason. Wall-to-wall basketball for the women and the men. We'll have the same thing tomorrow.
And it's on St. Patty's Day. I mean, you could not give women's basketball fans a bigger gift than that.
Where's your green, by the way? I'm not seeing it.
Where's your green?
That's right. It's not here.
My kid has a green bib on. That's enough.
Jones gets it back. Jones was hacked. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship first round continues tonight over on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. For more information on tournament game times and networks, go to NCAA.com. Jones back to the line. 74% free throw shooter. 2 for 4 tonight. You mentioned her outside shot. Only hit 3 threes this season. We know she's better than that. We know that those numbers will improve at some point in time. But to your point, it becomes a mental obstacle more than anything else.
Yeah, you got to get into the rhythm, right? It's the whole 10,000-hour rule and get in the gun on days off. And
I'm not familiar with the 10,000-hour rule.
Well, you put 10,000 hours into something, you become a pro. Malcolm Gladwell had something to say about that.
I need about 8,000 more.
That's true.
Pryor, no.
What a board!
Elsie Wood, yes.
Now, I'm waiting for her to have a bigger impact in this game. Coach Minetti wanted to see how tough she could be in a game like today. She's got a lot of talent, mobility.
Corner 3 is short. That was Prechtel. Believing no. Prechtel with a rebound. Fighting it with Pryor. And the jump ball gives it back to the Pioneers.
Good hustle by Nasir Pryor.
5-3 versus 6-5.
Yeah, Baltimore, born, raised, not afraid of anything. But you see, there were 4 Sacred Heart players doing everything they could to grab that rebound. They still couldn't get it. You had to wait for a mistake of a post player to bring it low for a little mama to grab onto it.
Pryor told us 2 days ago she wants to be a teacher when she's done with basketball. We certainly think she's got a career in hoops. likely overseas when she's done playing.
I think so. Yeah, I think she can make some money overseas, and I would love for her to extend that teaching into coaching, because the vibes I got when she started speaking was straight head coach vibes, and we've just loved to see her in the game after she's done playing it.
Jones, the elbow J, smooth as always.
You talk about somebody who never looks stressed. Haley Jones is cool, calm, and collected.
17 on the board tonight for Haley Jones. Jackson against jump. Lead at 14 for the #1 seed Stanford. Believy down low, position is there, the shot is as well.
The teammate play right there, right? Lopolo could have taken that three. Saw a mismatch down low, got the ball to Believy.
Wood wide open, connects.
Pryor does damage in the paint, right? Because she's able to either stop and shoot. She's got good elevation, hard to block her shot when she gets those off. Or she can pass. Good box out. Good way to get a dead ball rebound.
Nice job by Tucker. Jackson goes out. Owusu Mensah checks back in, number 10 in red. Jess Minetti was originally hired by Bobby Valentine, the then athletic director at Sacred Heart. It's been there for 10 seasons. Their first appearance in the tournament came close in 2015. Upset at home in the NEC Championship. She's been emotional this week for a number of reasons, primarily because of the journey to get this far and this deep. Cardinal take over.
I wonder what those second and third graders in her gym class, as she was the PE teacher, are thinking now.
Yeah, she paused a couple of times in her press conference. The media covering these 4 teams, 5 teams it was at the time here in Stanford. Just thinking about what it took to make it this far. Prechtel 0 for 3 from deep off the bench. She was hired around the same time her father passed away. She still, I think, feels like that Dad is with her on many occasions.
She said if he were here today, he'd be the loudest one. She said, you know who he was in the stands.
I corrected her and said, no, that's still Brooke.
We're happy to just hear her say that she still feels his presence and how big of an impact he was in her life. In fact, she was able to live with her mom and be by her sister for years. Really dial into her family, create that community. Anyone that plays for Coach Minetti, they will tell you it is a family feel type of program.
And for the schools that come calling, be careful, because she admitted to us, I'm a homebody, my family's here.
Yep.
Why am I going to take a job somewhere else to go away from them? Just be stuck coaching ball all the time. I love it. Got to have my family with me.
Gotta write that check.
Approaching a minute to go in the first half. Stanford, 23-7 run to create this separation. And a shot clock violation.
You know, you applaud the effort, though. That was the right play. Good drive. It was just about a foot off with the pass. Had she shoveled it like in an upward way, probably would have gotten a shot off.
6 turnovers for the Pioneers.
Yep. Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Now the McDonald's All-American #1 player in the country coming out of high school. 6'7", has the built-in advantage.
Cannot wait to see her develop her game. She's got such great length and size, as you can see. Court awareness, very smart player, and as she continues to work on her fitness level and her footwork. I think once she gets her footwork really down and quick and fluid, oh, she's going to be so dangerous.
There goes Pryor. Kelsey Wood connects. 16-footer. Shot clock is off. Jumper 3. Yes! That sets the new record. 45-26 our score at the break. Hannah Jump, the new single-season record holder for three-point shots made.
This crowd, they're doing it all. She hit that shot, they exploded. I loved her reaction. The huge scream. What a way to end the half for Stanford. We did not start this game with the lead, but they sure taking one into halftime. Ooh, that's just looks like somebody in the league maybe named Curry, maybe named Taurasi. Haley Jones loves it.
El Duncan.
Thank you. Welcome to Degree in the studio. Much more on this game, but first we were chalk, and then here come them Bulldogs. Number 11 Mississippi State facing number 6 Creighton, who was the Cinderella team last year. Early on, Jacayla Jordan with the 3 and extends the Bulldogs lead.
Give head coach Sam Purcell so much credit for having this team believe in themselves from the very jump. Not just the jump of this game, but from the jump and the start of this season. Jacayla Jordan with a huge performance, 20 points on 7 of 13 from the field.
Look at the feed. Jessica Carter there, Mississippi State, just absolutely not only pulls the upset, but does it in route fashion. Talk nice to me, Sam Purcell.
Talk to me nice.
You better talk to me nice. He's got to listen. He's checking it twice as we officially say, hello, I'm El Duncan. She's Andrea Carter. She is Rebecca Lobo. Let's talk about Stanford, a 19-point lead into the half. At some point, though, in this game, we were looking at Sacred Heart and going, okay, all right, they kept it close. How did the Cardinal pull away?
Well, it was most of the first quarter where that's what we were saying about Sacred Heart. They took good care of the basketball, only 2 turnovers in that first quarter. They shot well. They were 6 of 13 from the floor, making some tough shots. And then in the second quarter, Stanford turned it up on the defensive end of the floor, able to turn Sacred Heart over, and they are so much better when they can get out in transition.
Oh, the transition game for Stanford is phenomenal. And this is when I was looking at the rosters and everybody was available on both sides, Sacred Heart had 1 player that was over 6'2" on their roster. Stanford has 6 players, 6'2" and over, including 6'4", 6'5", 6'7". That length on the defensive end, and then Haley Jones's ability to get tips and get rebounds and push in transition as a point forward and score in transition, really impressive. She needs to be this aggressive for Stanford when Cameron Brink comes back. Still needs to be this aggressive and keep them moving forward.
Haley Jones, 12 points in the paint already, 6 for 8 there right now, as again, Stanford up pretty big at the half. We're not going to...
And welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. Back on the farm, halftime, and the start of our third quarter, 45-26. Number 1 seed Stanford leading the 16th seed Sacred Heart Pioneers, champions of the NEC. With Brooke Weisbrod, Roy Philpott, entertaining first half in the books, and really Haley Jones probably the biggest story with her 17 points.
Yeah, it was big, and she shot 7 of 10 from the floor, so she was the one to get everybody in order, be that straw stirring the drink, be the composer out there, you name it. She really did a good job of getting this offense together after a good start by Sacred Heart. I thought Stanford responded really well, especially in the paint, Roy. 26 points with the Capital One rewarding performance. We got to give it to Miss Jones. 7 of 10 and making the most creative layup we've seen yet in this tournament. What a great catch and pass with the spin little English. And then that mid-range, that's so deadly for Haley Jones. She's got 10 shot attempts. Nobody else on her team even close to that. Levy was 7. So Haley Jones really stepping up in the absence of Cameron Brink.
22-8, the scoring differential in that second quarter in favor of the number 1 seed. You see Jones's numbers. How about 26 points in the paint the first 2 quarters? That's getting it done.
That is getting it done. But we knew Stanford was going to have the size advantage. Like, that's no surprise there. It is good to see them capitalize off that. So +7 on the board.
No Cameron Brink tonight. She's listed as day-to-day with a non-COVID illness. Third quarter, Stanford has it to start our second half. Winner of this game gets the winner of Ole Miss and Gonzaga. 8 versus 9. That game slated to tip off around 10 o'clock Eastern this evening. Good block, great defense on the Levy. And Pryor's pass intended for Stromo's picked off by Lopolo. The Levy. She's now in double figures with 10 points, 6 boards. Sacred Heart defeated Southern in the first 4 2 nights ago. 57-47 was the final. First win ever for a team out of the NEC in the dance. Pryor for 15.
And she'll just shake that off every shot she doesn't hit. She's going to be disappointed at. She's retying her shoes perhaps out of some frustration.
She told us this week she gives all the credit in the world to her game, to her bigger brother, Older brother, Nathaniel Pryor, in addition to Dad, made sure that they didn't let her win any games growing up in the backyard.
Yeah, no easy ones. But she always talked about iron sharpening iron.
Jones short, she'll get it back. Jump launching.
Okay, so the difference I see between those two three-point attempts, Jones was a little more arm straightforward, and in a whole different sense, jump was from her legs and finished with her fingertips. So it just appeared to me that Haley was more shooting from her hands and her arms versus her legs and her lower body. I'm sure she would love to hear my advice after the game.
Wood from the elbow, too strong. Here comes Believing. Haley Jones. In and out. Strobel tries to maintain control. And the held possession gives it back to Sacred Heart.
Offensive rebounding for Stanford. Believing just going to get the ball. And it leaves a great second chance opportunities. That little dish off pass there to jump. I mean, you literally cannot leave her. All she wants to do, obviously, is hit that three. How cool is it, though, to go off a buzzer beater at halftime to set the record? Come on.
Single season record, no doubt. Sarah Johnson, her first points on her first shot.
Love to see her and Pryor go at each other. 2-point guards that are so strong, you know, quote-unquote undersized. Pryor had a whole bunch of D1 coaches be like, nah, I'm not really interested. You're too short. But imagine the Polo heard the same thing. I heard the same thing. Doesn't matter. If you got a big game, it'll speak for itself.
Pryor sizes one up. Rainbow jumper. Not this time. Jump the rebound. If you're Tara Vanderveer, how do you play with a large lead, knowing you've got a game coming up Sunday with your starters, knowing what's happening with Cameron Brink? We don't know if she'll be able to play Sunday or not. There's got to be some decisions that are made in the next 5 to 10 minutes, right?
I don't know. I think if I'm Tara Vanderveer and this is the first game here, you want to make sure you get into a good rhythm, which you have. Get your starters some quality minutes because you know the next game is either going to be real physical against Ole Miss or Gonzaga. You're going to have to run people out of the three-point line all day long. But Stanford is a team that, you know, after this rest, they got a great couple of days to prepare, some time in the weight room and stretch, get your body right, your mind right. I think you're going to play starters, see the starters play extended minutes today.
Well, it is interesting because if Ole Miss wins, they're the best, arguably, three-point defense in America. If Gonzaga wins, they're one of the top three-point shooting teams in America. As a team, the Zags are at 42% this year. So vastly different games depending on what happens in the 8 versus 9.
Yeah, the Zags have to move the ball. Like, you cannot dribble a whole lot against Ole Miss. You've got to pass it, keep them guessing, keep them moving. Because they are a physical, fast team. That's what you're going to get with the SEC.
Wood collects.
And one, maybe.
And we'll shoot 2. That's Amelia Wood, younger sister of Kelsey. New York natives, and 3 in red to the line. Mom played volleyball in college. And the sisters getting ready pre-game. Got the Tron twins for Gonzaga coming up. That 8 versus 9 matchup. Not that uncommon, right, to have sisters playing on the same team in college?
No, I think it's great. I think it's great. I mean, it would have had so much of an impact to be able to have, you know, someone in your family, your sibling out there playing with you. And the way those two were just communicating and hanging out together, you could see it was just a family affair from the start. And that's why they love Sacred Heart. They just felt like they fit in there. They were both getting recruited by some pretty big schools. As Beck shows why she was the #1 player in the country coming out of high school.
6 on the board for the freshman. Approaching 6 to play in our third quarter.
Got to take that, yep.
Pryor, number 8. Pryor with 8, Wood with 7.
Yeah,
Leading 24.
Double figures has been a hard place to find if you're a Sacred Heart player. Pryor with 10 field goal attempts. We saw Jackson do some damage in the first half. And that's just a really hard place to defend, and a pass that goes out of bounds. A rare turnover for Stanford. Watch Lauren Betts get great position. This is what you work for if you're a post player. Wide stance. Show me that hand. Leave me there if I'm a guard. Make it easy for me, and Betts does just that.
Think about her potential in the next couple of seasons. Pryor gets her own miss. Another rebound for one in red.
And thought better about going against Betts again.
I think that was a good decision. Johnson off the mark.
Sacred Heart might be losing a little steam here.
Understandable against the #1 seed. Traveling all the way across the country from Fairfield, Connecticut, just outside the city. I did want to ask you, we showed your sleepers in the first half. You and I both think that Virginia Tech is poised to make a deep run. Not really a sleeper. They're a 1 seed, but they can go inside out, well coached with Kenny Brooks. I think that's a team that you and I both believe is set to emerge on a much bigger stage this postseason, right?
Love Liz Kipley's game. Love Georgia Amor's swag. The duo, the roommates, the podcasters, they're basically sisters. Georgia Amor lived with Liz Kipley during that time of COVID and couldn't really go home, so they developed a really great chemistry there. Yeah, I think Virginia Tech has to go to get to the Final Four.
We interviewed Georgia Amor after one of Virginia Tech's wins in the regular season. She went off for like 27, barely missed a shot. We asked her, Georgia, when did you know you were in the zone today? And she said, as soon as we started preseason camp.
Right? She's like, I get asked this all the time. I'm like, oh, you do? Oh,
Gotcha.
just live in the zone. Okay. Like that.
Wood the free throw.
How about Stanford with 16 assists and Sacred Heart just 3? That is not their game at all.
Jones with 17. Levy close to a double-double. And the pregame dunk, which got everybody in the gym excited here at Maples. Halfway through the third. Yeah, contrasting styles later tonight with Ole Miss and defense. Gonzaga, the three-point shooting.
No different.
Tucker lost the handle. And I mean, if this doesn't get you out of your seat, sitting at home, whether you're in the studio, you're on the couch, wherever you may be, how about a little dunk you very much on a Friday night?
Booyah!
Private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any picture, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NCAA consent is prohibited.
25-point lead for #1 seed Stanford over Sacred Heart. And a win tonight, Brooke, means victory number 100 in postseason play, trailing only UConn and the Lady Vols.
When you think about the history and success of women's basketball, these are the first 3 teams that come to mind, are they not? I would think maybe about a La Tech somewhere in there as well. When you go back and just think about the legacy Gino Auriemma, Pat Summitt, now Tara Vanderveer have left for this game. The biggest thing about women's basketball, I think, that what makes it great is it's about leaving it in a better place. And
Pryor for 3.
Those coaches have certainly done that and then some. We're very grateful.
That's at 6'7". Outside to Navarre for 3. India Navarre, the freshman at Apex, North Carolina.
Another McDonald's All-American, had an impressive showing there with Betts.
It will be interesting, too. We showed the graphic where Tara Vanderveer, coaching next season, in all likelihood, will become the all-time winningest coach, men or women, NCAA basketball history. I'll be very curious to see and hear and feel kind of what all of that looks like, that celebration. As humble as she is, I don't know how big of a deal it is for her in the midst of it, but for the rest of the planet,
yeah,
it's going to be quite a scene.
Well, you said the word, right, which was humble. And when you said to her yesterday, Coach, you're just as active as you ever are. What is your secret? What are you doing? And her response was not, I do this, I do that. It was, I want to show up and give that energy to this team. Like, they deserve it. Well, yeah, that too. Wakes up every day, swims, plays the piano, gets out there, just has an incredibly enriching life.
Brandon the bucket. And Betts, let's say they're going to call that a jump ball.
Yeah, I thought it was a jump ball.
And it is. So you see the 3 national championships, including 2 years ago. 100 tournament wins coming tonight. And then in addition to all of that, they've been in 9 of the last 14 Final Fours. It's incredible.
That is incredible. It's sustained success, and it's building program, and it's based off of the system you create, the chemistry, and in the repetition. This Stanford system shows year after year you can produce national championship potential, Olympic potential, pro potential every year.
I asked her that question. It was a selfish question because I always like to find out how coaches, players just always stay on. They never seem to have an off day.
Yeah.
Energy level's always high. And Coach Vanderveer yesterday in practice, directing traffic out there, moving around fluidly. Incredible, honestly.
Associate head coach Kate Pay right there to her left does a terrific job and likely to take over here when Tara's epic tenure is complete.
Pryor just picked up her 4th foul. Jones back at the line. For the 3rd straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships. So Jones without a point in the second half. 61-35 our score. 17 in the first, she'll have a seat. It's 11-7 Sacred Heart to start. And Stanford started doing Stanford things. Betts. Jump ball this time to the Pioneers.
And Stanford has really flexed in where they're best at, which is inside. 35 total rebounds, 34 points in the paint. My favorite stat so far is the 17 assists, 7 of them coming from Apollo.
Manopu the steal, and fouled by Johnson. Free throws coming. Number 2 in white to the line, where she's 80% this season. So we did see the Ole Miss and Gonzaga players in the arena watching this game.
Yep.
Is that normal for that to happen, or should you be back in the locker room somewhere, just mentally preparing for all the 3-pointers and all the 3-point defense?
I would have so much nervous energy at this point. I'd need to be in the arena or walking around doing something, but what was kind of cool to see how close they were sitting to each other.
Right next to each other.
Yeah, Ole Miss has moved, but they were literally 2 seats away from Gonzaga's team. You see some of the Ole Miss coaches down there to your right in the red. This has got to be the hardest part of the day, right? For your play, waiting around. I mean, I know we just sit here and talk, and we get nervous energy like, come on, let's go. We're trying to play in the first round of the NCAA tournament. We just want this game to get over quick.
10 o'clock Eastern over on ESPNU, the Zags and the Rebels. 3rd all-time meeting. Stanford beat Gonzaga earlier this year in the regular season. I think that was back in December. Ole Miss, remember, took number 1 South Carolina to overtime. Had a chance to win that game. Also battled Utah to within a possession. That's a team that is tested against some of the best teams in this year's postseason. Speaking of energy, Coach Yo certainly has a certain level of energy. I told her yesterday, this is the postseason version of you. I don't remember this back in the day as an assistant at Clemson and Portland, all these other spots.
Sharper. It's a sharper Coach Yo.
It was.
You know, you're not going to get party time Coach Yo all the time. It's business, baby. It's a business trip.
That's what Ole Miss is calling it. Zags are now healthy, and so that's an interesting dynamic for that game. Tron twins, Kaylee and Kaylin. Free throws coming for Stanford once again. Very off into the strike. Mentioned Sierra Brandon, her birthday yesterday.
You think about it, Cameron Brink out. Very often you're able to Give her some more time. Fran Believe, give her some more time.
That's meaningful this time of year, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you have 2 All-Americans on your team, and what you love is that you can rely on them. 15, 20 points a game, and you have the incredible size. In a night where Cameron Brink isn't feeling her best, so some other stars some time. And most importantly, experience. Because what if somebody gets into foul trouble late, Sweet 16, Elite 8 game? You want to have that, be able to rely on it.
Johnson bottled up. Wow. And the pass stolen by Believe.
That is the play of the night for Stanford. Starting on defense, like Believe is so long and strong. She basically palmed that ball. Was like, nah, give me that. Little float pass, tough finish. You know, just did a thing.
Was a deep strike for the dime. Minute to play in our 3rd quarter.
That's a tough pass.
Wood corrals and a chance for 3, so Kelsey Wood.
A rare interior pass and paint point. Coming to premium tonight, Wood able to get that position, call for the ball. It's tough getting it over Believe against Polo, and then the foul, the M1 finally for Kelsey Wood.
Lana Bozgana checks in for the first time, a sophomore out of Athens, Greece. Breather for LaPolo, who has been effective and under the radar tonight with 7 dimes. I know you're always big on assists. Number of assists per made bucket. Bozgana inside. Nice move.
Instant energy off the bench. You gotta love that. You know, Bozgana could have tried to take a hard shot at 3 instead. Great move, gets the ball low, effortless.
Here's a steal. India Navarre, coast to coast.
Now I'm gonna need to see if Fran Believe up attempt in this kind of a game. Like, how about India Navarre bounce it off the backboard? Let's see Believe come in like boom.
They would talk about that forever.
Believe's kind of feeling it. She got some spring. It could happen.
She had a big smile after that last and assist. Does have that kind of vibe to it. Johnson off the bounce. Ripped away by Imanopu, and she was fouled. Well, 4 seconds to go in the 3rd. Stanford in the bonus. 10 minutes and change remaining in this first round matchup. 1 versus 16. NEC and Pac-12. Hey, Pac-12, 7 teams from the conference in the tournament this year. Well represented in the Final Four since 2016. In fact, the league leads the way with 7 Final Four participants going back to 2016. One more free throw for Agnes Imanopu coming. That surprised me. 7 Final Fours, leading all conferences for the Pac-12. Putback is there for Believe. And Stanford dominant tonight as the 1 seed here on the farm.
Fran Believe making her way into the conversation at Stanford. That's how you do it. Give me defense. Give me a one-hand floater pass. Another tough finish for the Cardinals.
Some news and notes around the country. The top seeds all won by a hefty margin. In Iowa, Caitlin Clark doing Caitlin Clark things so far.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark is a threat. As soon as she arrives off the bus, you got to start Gardner. And it's just, they're a fun team to watch, right? And she's just going to create more waves for the women's game. And I believe she's going to stick around at Iowa. I hope so anyways. And the opening game, of course, going to overtime. South Florida getting the edge of a win, and then otherwise, I think we pretty much expected, South Carolina, Maryland, and Notre Dame to do their thing. Here, Stanford has not turned the ball over. Honestly, Sacred Heart has done a good job of protecting it themselves, but points in the paint has been the story of the night. 42-14.
Second and third quarters have seen the Cardinal outscored Sacred Heart 50-19. Brooke Weiss, Roy Philpott, 10 minutes to go. Palindrome score, 73-37.
Palindrome. You bringing the palindrome in tonight?
Well, you flip the number.
Like race car, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Mom, level, dad.
Okay.
All the above. Be here for the next 10 minutes of game time. And later tonight, too. You weren't ready for that one.
I was not. Caught me off guard. Usually you're a numbers guy, not a words guy.
Cardinal on their way to the second round. Stop! By the tip in.
Hey!
And flexing afterwards, rightfully so.
As she should. Yeah, that's hitting the weight room. Get up.
A lot of smiles on that Stanford bench. They were disappointed after the loss to UCLA in the semis of the Pac-12 tournament. Had some travel issues times this year that they were dealing with. We mentioned the fatigue that Coach Tara Vanderveer talked about this week in the local media and also with us. Strobel inside connects. There's a lot of things at the end of the year, and I guess a lot of teams can deal with various issues, right? I mean, that happens.
It's going to happen to everybody in some way. You're going to deal with some adversity. It's all about how you respond to it.
A push and a foul. Imanopu fell down.
Let's go back to that fantastic play by India Navar. Osgana with the missed three. Timing it perfectly. Get up one hand. Imagine playing tip course with her, Haley Jones, and Fran Belibi. You are H-O-R-S-E out, my friend.
Yeah.
You wrong.
Was that prior? If so, she just fouled out. I think they've called it on Wood.
Yep.
Saw those hands extended for a moment. Thought one in red committed the infraction. No, she certainly goes down as one of the legends at Sacred Heart. She's only a freshman, so a lot of great basketball ahead for Nasira Pryor, Player of the Year, all the awards in the NEC.
I got to tell you, though, you wonder. Right? You wonder what is left for Coach Minetti at Sacred Heart, if perhaps some bigger schools are going to come calling in today's world in the transfer portal. If that happens, would a player like Pryor stick around? Would she follow Coach Minetti to a bigger job if that happens? You wonder those things, right? I mean, look at what she said. This young lady thought she was going to play 10 minutes a game, you guys. She had no idea. Ends up being the player. I don't think anybody else, certainly not in the NEC, but across the country, has ever won Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie, and then snagged that MVP of the tournament.
She was absolute money in that championship game. And their comeback against FDU.
Yeah.
Bailey Dickinson was the #1 seed. Sacred Heart beat that team 3 times, including the championship game. Strobel off the mark. Levy controls. No, in this era, if you're playing at a mid-major level, like in the Northeast Conference, you have to believe the Sharks are circling and trying to extract the top talent. Iriafen inside the rebound and the finish. She's got 9. She's only a sophomore out of LA.
Oh, man, she's going to be good as well.
But she said it this week, too. This is a new season for us. And then the question concerned what happened in the Pac-12 tournament. I think that's the mindset for this program now, exiting that league tournament into the big dance itself.
Well, I think what I saw with their matchup with UCLA and some of the, I guess, ways that UCLA exposed Stanford was really on the defensive end first, and I thought that's where they flexed, and then that created transition offense, and it just allowed them to get that lead and keep it. Oh, baby! Not getting a shot in her house. Imanopu says no for you. Take another look at that again. 6 blocks.
Well, our friends in the NEC certainly thrilled by this run by Sacred Heart. On the men's side, there's also reason to celebrate. How about FDU knocking out the top seed Purdue tonight? 16 over the 1. Second time that's happened in the men's NCAA tournament. It's happened one time on the side with this Stanford program in '98. Now it's happened 2 times, and 2 times recently. The Northeast Conference, heck of a run.
Wait a minute, UMBC, it was at the same time, the one that beats Virginia. So I'm sure they're calling and being buddies right now. Like, we know what you're going through.
That's right.
I guess I'll just light my men's bracket up on fire, even though I didn't fill out one. I did pick Purdue.
Did you?
I did.
Of course.
Yeah. It will.
Well, Zach Edey had a heck of a season. Pryor. Speaking of a heck of a season, now in double figures, 10 points. Couple of dimes and 3 boards tonight for one in red. Very often bumped from behind, and she was fouled. Now the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship first round continues tonight on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. For more information on tournament game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. Speaking of that tournament, about that shocking news, you just never know in March.
It's funny to talk March Madness and basketball with folks who are not really familiar with sports or hoops at all.
I don't know a lot of those people.
Well, I do. My nanny who's traveling with me was like, okay, help explain to me how does the seedings and the teams happen? I said, that's a great question. I would love to be in that room when those decisions are made. You're wondering the same thing everybody else who's tuning in on Selection Sunday is wondering. None of us know.
If I put you in that room, there would be so many arguments, so many questions. It would actually be great television.
Yeah, probably. I didn't want to be a lawyer, I think, for that very reason. Pretty good at arguing.
Yeah. But this possession for the Cardinal.
Great job. Just the relentless fight. And it's plays like this, these chemistry plays late with a lot of reserves out there on the floor, that's going to build confidence and momentum later on. Believe me, it's a warm welcome for a big night. Double-double for her.
Approaching 6 to play. Ole Miss at Gonzaga, the nightcap, 10 o'clock Eastern. Pryor spins it home off the glass. Do want to get some more thoughts from you on that matchup. We talked about the three-point shooting for Gonzaga, the three-point defense for Ole Miss. They're top 25 in scoring defense this year. Is that a situation where, okay, who's able to impose their will? How does that match up?
I think so. I mean, you've got obviously two totally different styles, more physical and fast, SEC type of, bank ball with Ole Miss. And then Gonzaga is a little more fluid, systematic, pass around it. You're not going to find a player who can run faster than dribbling the ball, right? So if Gonzaga can keep it moving and zip it, they have a shot.
Brandon just fouled out. Pryor will hug her head coach on the way to the bench. And it has been an incredible run for the team out of the NEC. After a forgettable start at 1-8. One point in time, Coach Benetti took away their practice jerseys because they weren't playing well enough to practice in jerseys that had their names or their school colors. They pulled out the pennies from camp. Those dirty jerseys that you put on.
Smelly yellow pennies.
They're
Wear them.
too small.
Yeah. You just don't feel good when you put them on. But you know what? That was a C. Vivian Stringer move. It worked. They got it together and wrote on the whiteboard after one of their wins, we want our jerseys back.
That's what the head coach was waiting for. It's a different team after that, and a team that made its way all the way to the first round of the dance. Blocked by Kelsey Wood out of bounds.
You know something about wearing those pennies?
I do not.
Oh, I thought maybe you might have some experience with the scout team and such.
You're bringing up painful memories. I blocked them out, but yes. I thought it was a heck of a mental ploy to put in mid-season when things aren't going in your favor. You're trying to press whatever button you can and change the course of the season, and it works. It's part of it, at least.
I like any program that is just willing to take chances, take risks. That's a big risk, right? Like, that could hurt the confidence of players, but in today's game, you got to find that edge, and that was a way to do it. I'd be mad if I had to do my own practice laundry. Great rebound, hustle.
Prexel off the mark. Another offensive rebound, and Betts was hammered. 82-43. Halfway home in our fourth quarter, and Stanford punching its ticket into the second round when we come back. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallets? All smiles after Sacred Heart's first four victory against Southern. Jess Minetti talking things over with her team, and boy, what a time to be alive. First ever win for the NEC in postseason play, and the wrong end of an 82-43 score tonight against the top seed Stanford. But Nicira Pryor, big story, make it this far. And you look at her production this year, tremendous.
She is a special young woman, just ahead of her time, incredibly mature for just a freshman. Built in Baltimore, played the game there, learned it from her family. Her brother would go at it all the time, and I love the future that's laid out for her.
One more free throw for Betts. Sounds like you're going to talk to somebody post-game.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Who are we going to talk to?
We'll have to see about that.
You haven't decided?
I don't know.
Keep everybody on the edge of their seat. Klein connects with a mid-range. Did I catch you off guard with that?
Very minimally, yes. You usually don't. That time you did. I don't know.
Our trusted producer, Matthew Bartley. Betts. Boy, Stanford, incredible on the offensive glass tonight. As expected, with a size advantage, they have not disappointed on the boards. Prechtel traveled. Hallam checks in for the first time here in this NCAA tournament, 4 in red. And memories that will last a lifetime for this squad. First trip out west.
Yeah, I'd say this is a big success for Sacred Heart to get the first postseason win in NEC history. That is huge. You are the one to set the tone for the conference.
Coach Benetti told us a story yesterday. She played a prank on her team. Their first moments here in Maples. Bozgana inside. And the prank went like this. She said, out west, the rims are actually a little bigger than we're playing at back home in the Northeast in Fairfield, Connecticut. And she said for maybe a solid 30 minutes, the team believed her.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not sure if she told them the truth.
That's the earth is flat conversation. You say it with conviction. Look, you say it with conviction, and they are going to buy in. This team buys into what Coach says.
Don't forget, 10 o'clock Eastern, the 8 versus 9. Always compelling, usually very competitive. Ole Miss and Gonzaga meeting for the third time ever. Winner of that game will get Stanford Sunday at a time to be determined right here back on the farm. So you're telling me you're not interviewing?
I'm trying to be subtle over here. You're ridiculous.
I just like it because they come over, you get all wired up as you're talking. It's not easy to do. Like behind the scenes, everybody thinks the job's so easy as the analyst.
Over here,
nothing about it is.
Put it up there with being mom life. Just sweat and want to get it right. Sacred Heart, though, I still love that they're playing hard. I mean, they have every reason to keep their head up in this game.
And despite the deficit, a lot of smiles.
As they should. I mean, no pressure. Everybody's expecting you to probably be down 40 at this point, which you basically are. But you did have the lead over the number 1 seed at one point in time.
That's inside, and if you finish, it was 11-7 before Stanford went on its run. It was tied at 16 near the end of the first quarter.
It was zip.
Hallam inside was blocked out of bounds.
I mean, Betts is like the nicest blocker you've ever seen, right? She embarrasses
the pants off of you, and then it's sort of like, hey, sorry, not sorry? Hi, it's me. I'm sort of the problem. Like, you think she's gonna
Taylor Swift song?
A little bit. You know about that. You have 2 young daughters.
I do.
Swifties. But imagine when she gets that big edge to her, right? Like, you can see it building inside. She's tough. Great pass.
Prechtel to Boscana. 2 minutes to go.
I'm blaming you. I'm over here getting wired up for a post game. This is all you, dog. I love it, though. I'm in. I can't wait to hear what Haley Jones has to say.
We want to talk to you.
Everybody wants to hear from Haley.
Off the pump fake. Flying off the mark. Here's Green. .90 seconds to go. NEC champions will see their season come to an end. Pac-12's #1 seed Stanford Cardinal moving on to the second round. 90-47. Ole Miss and Gonzaga coming up, 10 o'clock Eastern. Back here in Stanford. Wusu-Mensah was fouled. She'll shoot a pair, 4 points tonight. All 4 of those points coming at the line, where she has been perfect. See the show of unity right behind Wusu-Mensah. That is a tradition. Sacred Heart for that first free throw attempt, the first of 2. Teammates have your back. They're in Fairfield, Connecticut. Wusu-Mensah perfect at the line, 6 for 6. Under a minute to go. Cardinal will win their 29th game of the year, improve to 29-5. Boscana, Prechtel on the board. Four points, 4 boards. Number 11 in white. Big story coming up Sunday. Will we see Cameron Brink return to the floor? Did not play tonight, a non-COVID illness. Listed as day-to-day. One more possession for the Cardinal. Off the miss by Jackson, and that'll do it. Ten minutes in, it was close. Stanford took over. 92-49, our final score here in Maples. And congratulations in order for the Cardinal. 100 victory in the dance. 3rd most in NCAA history. Pioneers of Sacred Heart finished their season at 19-14 and as NEC champions. Ole Miss and Gonzaga coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern over on ESPNU. We'll be back with you for the call of that one. And the winner of that one will get the top seed Stanford coming up Sunday. Well, coming up in just a few minutes, Brooke Weisbrod will touch base with Haley Jones. We look forward to that conversation. But for now, we send you back to the studio. El Duncan, Rebecca Lobo, Andrea Carter.
We're also looking forward to the Haley Jones conversation as we officially welcome you into the studio. You're watching. Thank you. Halftime with Degree in the studio. 23rd straight tournament opening win for Stanford. Fantastic. No Cameron Brink. Absolutely no problem for them.
And these are the type of games where every player on the winning team goes home feeling good about it. Because everybody had a chance to be involved. Not only scoring 92 points, 13 players were able to play in this game. Player after player was able to contribute. These are the kind of games that inflate you as you go into the second round. around feeling really good about not only your team's performance, your individual performance, just feeling a part of things.
Well, and getting it done on both sides of the basketball, right? The way that they defended, the way that their length played into things on the defensive end, but then on the offensive end, over 50 points in the paint, 22 offensive rebounds. Sacred Heart is a team that was getting 10 steals per game, scoring 19 points off of turnovers. They weren't able to do that. Stanford took care of the basketball.
And they were led by Haley Joins and her 17 points. We actually get it back down now to Maples Pavilion. They're standing by with Haley right now.
All right, Haley, first game of the tournament. That's got to feel good getting started with a win. How was it for you not having Cameron Brink out there with you?
Yeah, you know, we missed Cam, and I'm sure she'll be back Sunday, but we're just really excited. I'm really excited about how the other bigs did. You know, I had so much faith in them. To see Lauren, Kiki, Fran, Ash, everybody just take over like they did. It's a huge vote of confidence for them and for the coaches just moving into the rest of the tournament. We're going to need everyone.
Yeah, how exciting is it to watch them block shots, get big boards, and get assists?
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Lauren Betts, huge blocks. When Fran threw that one full court pass, we're on the bench going crazy. So to see them do it every day at practice, then have it translate onto a big stage like this is amazing.
Can you tell me how you built up these high degree of difficulty shots? Like, where do you learn how to spin the ball off the glass like that?
I don't really know. I think a lot of times when I'm in the lane, I'm getting bumped or whatnot, or I'm having to finish through a bunch of retreats. So it's being creative, figuring out ways to get it off the backboard, just things I work on outside the game.
Well, great start for you guys. You know you got a tough one to look ahead to. What kind of things pop out to you when you think about Ole Miss and Gonzaga matchup?
I mean, we play Gonzaga, and we know that they're a tough team, and they're going to be a tough out. Ole Miss, we haven't really seen very much on the other side of the country, but we're excited to watch the first half, and, you know, we're about to be in that film room tomorrow watching with Tara, so I'm sure we'll know everything about both teams.
All right, Haley, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, back to the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Brooke, and thank you, Haley. You won't have to wait long to find out who you're playing, as we'll see Ole Miss and Gonzaga tip 10 o'clock over on ESPNU. We have been here morning, noon, and night, so we've seen all the action from the first round of the women's NCAA tournament. We're not going to assume you have, so let's catch you up on some of the bigger games.